Today we're checking out bison farms in the US to see how they raise thousands of these massive animals. Right now, about 359,000 bison are raised like cattle on farms across South Dakota, Nebraska, Colorado, and Oklahoma. The US also has around 31,000 wild bison living in national parks. Yellowstone National Park is the most famous spot for these beasts, with about 5,300 wild bison roaming free. After 283 days of breeding, the female bison on this farm started giving birth. The birthing process for these bison cows usually only takes about an hour. Each year in the US, around 113,000 calves are born, with 2% dying during birth. Calves born here weigh about 55 pounds on average, 30% heavier than wild bison calves. On these farms, calves live with their mothers for 7 months before weaning. According to 2021 stats, the US has 513 bison farms of various sizes. Across the country, South Dakota leads with 104 farms, accounting for 24% of all bison raised in the nation. Nebraska ranks second in bison farming, with 2,200 bison across its farms. Montana follows with 11,000, Colorado with 10,700, and Oklahoma with 10,300 bison. Daily herders guide the bison to pastures, where they can graze freely. Calves eat alongside their mothers, protected by fences surrounding the grazing area. Female bison are considered fully mature when they reach 2.5 to 3 years old. They will be considered mature and ready for breeding when they reach 4 to 5 years old. Currently, 85% of US bison roam freely, while 15% are raised on small farms. This Oklahoma ranch is home to 167 adult bison and 53 calves. Oklahoma has 57 bison farms, mostly near the Missouri border. About 2,300 bison are slaughtered in Oklahoma each year. Bison graze freely and get supplements, like corn and pellets. Adult male bison weigh about 1,800 pounds, females around 960. Each bison here eats about 3% of its body weight daily. When pastures were being restored, workers fed the herd dry straw. This Colorado bison farm has 75 cows. The owner says bison eat 127,000 pounds of straw yearly, about 2,300 bales. During mating season, bulls fight for the right to females in the herd. Bison mating season starts in June, ending late September. A male bison can mate with multiple females. Female bison choose one male for life. This is a 55-head bison herd in Montana. At dusk, ranchers move them to pens to avoid wolf attacks. In 2021, Montana had 62 bison farms, calling 1,400 yearly. Farm bison get health checks and vaccines twice a year. Herders guide bison to a metal cage for health and weight checks. Imagine handling a bison without that cage. This is Missouri cattle market in action. Hundreds of bison were brought here to be auctioned off before slaughter. These bison will be kept in separate pens, waiting their turn for auction. Each stable will house between 5 and 8 bison. Let's take a look inside the auction area. Currently, a 2-year-old bison costs between $3,500 and $7,000. It is based on appearance, origin, and purity level. About 20,300 bison are slaughtered yearly in the U.S., generating $384 million in revenue. Rabbits have always been popular in most countries worldwide. Large-scale farms can breed and harvest thousands of rabbits per litter. In today's video, we'll explore the process of breeding and harvesting rabbits. These cages are designed for optimal rabbit development and reproduction. Sperm will be collected for artificial insemination of qualified doves. These are added to nests in preparation for newborn bunnies. The rabbits will give birth 30 days after fertilization. For the first 3 weeks, baby rabbits' main food is their mother's milk. 1 to 2 months old baby rabbits are weaned and fed forage and other nutritious foods. At 70 days, males and females are separated, with the best rabbits chosen for meat production. Fattening rabbits are given a diverse, nutrient-rich diet. These are the final beautiful photos of these rabbits before their journey ends. Watch till the end to see lovely photos of another naturally raised rabbit group. At 4 months old, the rabbits are sent to food processing facilities. Some viewers may find these images uncomfortable. However, it's an unavoidable part of modern life. Factory workers slaughter and package the rabbits for stores and supermarkets. These rabbits are raised using a natural model. They can play and dig freely, unlike those in iron cages.
Did you know that in Australia, the number of beef cattle, over 25.3 million, is almost equal to the country's population of 26.8 million? Beef exports valued at over $7.5 billion annually, Australia ranks among the world's top beef-producing nations. What sets Australia apart is how this cattle is raised on vast grasslands, spanning 494 million acres, larger than Texas and California combined. So, how did Australia's livestock industry become so exceptional? Let's dive in. First, let's look at Australia's main cattle raising regions. Northern Australia, including Queensland and the Northern Territory, accounts for 75% of the country's cattle raising area. This region is known for live cattle exports mainly to Indonesia and also supplies beef to global burger markets. Queensland alone manages 11 million cattle, nearly half the country's total herd. Down south, New South Wales has smaller specialized farms focusing on premium beef breeds like Wagyu, known for superior marbling. Standout is Anna Creek Station in South Australia, the world's largest cattle ranch. Spanning 5.85 million acres, about Israel's size, it houses over 20,300 beef cattle. Daily, Aussie farmers face the huge task of managing vast herds across enormous landscapes. In Queensland and the Northern Territory, helicopters help monitor and herd cattle across massive ranches. Each flight, lasting 2-4 hours, can check and direct over 2,000 cattle, cutting time and labor compared to traditional horse or off-road vehicle methods. Besides choppers, Australian cattle dogs are invaluable allies in managing cattle. These quick, responsive dogs can do the work of several hands, especially during large-scale roundups. Daily, ranchers check cattle health by observing behavior, weight, and physical condition. Cattle showing signs of illness like weight loss or lethargy are quickly isolated and treated to prevent disease spread. Farmers also supplement the herd's diet with hay and grain in dry seasons to maintain health and steady growth. In New South Wales and the Northern Territory, automated water stations now meet cattle's drinking needs. These stations can serve over 500 head of cattle daily and are linked to remote monitoring systems to ensure constant supply and proper function, allowing farmers to focus on other management tasks. Yearly, large-scale roundups are held to count, sort, and move cattle to new grazing areas. These operations, often lasting days, involve helicopters, sheepdogs, and ATVs working together. Healthy cattle move to lush pastures, while those needing special care stay near the main facilities. Stations. Cattle breeds are chosen based on regional climate. Brahman cattle, heat tolerant and parasite resistant, make up 70% of herds in the North and Queensland. Hereford and Angus dominate in NSW and the South, prized for high-quality marbled beef. Angus can weigh up to 1,500 pounds, yielding premium meat for gourmet dishes. .2 million acres of Australian grassland are managed to sustainably feed cattle. Farmers use rotational grazing, spreading 2,200 pounds of manure per acre for soil health. Farm can store enough grass to feed 10,000 cattle for 4 months without using industrial feed. Australian cattle dogs are crucial for herding, especially when managing stubborn or injured cattle. Each dog can guide 200, 300 cattle, cutting herding time by half and reducing animal stress. All Australian cattle have RFID tags to track weight, vaccinations, and overall health. RFID scanning processes 1,000 cattle per hour, lowering death rates to under 2% versus 5 to 10% globally. Farmers manage breeding cycles for over 12 million cows annually. They achieve 90% success through monitoring and assisted delivery for difficult births. Newborn calves get special care in the first 24 hours, with diets high in energy and nutrients. On average, a cow in Australia eats 35 to 50 pounds of grass daily, totaling 13,000 to 18,000 pounds yearly. In dry seasons, farmers add 1,100 pounds of hay per cow, plus grains and mixed feed for complete nutrition. From careful cow care in vast pastures, their journey moves to the final stage, transport and slaughter. Transport, farmers move cattle to large areas called feedlots. Each feedlot holds 500 to 1,000 cattle, with plenty of space to reduce animal stress. During this time, cattle get clean water and feed to stay healthy before transport. The cattle are then moved in large trucks or special trains. These trucks are specially designed with ventilation and shock-absorbing padding to keep cattle comfortable throughout their journey. A standard truck in Australia can transport 80 to 100 cattle per trip, covering an average distance of 300 to 500 miles. In remote areas like the Northern Territory, road trains are the main transport, carrying up to 1,200 cattle in one trip. At the processing plant, cattle are first guided into pens with curved paths to reduce stress and prevent panic. Stunning systems ensure painless cattle processing, adhering to OIE's humane standards. Workers then use modern tools to quickly skin, gut, and clean carcasses under high-pressure warm water, Australian slaughterhouses like those in Queensland can process over 1,500 cattle daily with just 2% waste. The process ensures hygiene and uses automated sorting systems to classify beef into quality grades, from premium export cuts to domestic products. Beef is quickly chilled to 32 to 39 degrees Fahrenheit, preventing bacteria growth and maintaining freshness for processing. Most of Australia's beef production, over 60% of the total, is exported to major markets like the US, Japan, South Korea, and the Middle East. Japan leads, importing up to 39% of Australia's beef exports, followed by the US at 23% and South Korea at 14%. Notably, Australian beef makes up 50% of Japan's total beef imports, far outpacing US imports due to its higher quality and reliable supply chain. The Middle East market has grown significantly, with Australian halal beef meeting the needs of over 1.8 billion Muslims worldwide. The beef industry is crucial to Australia's economy, contributing over $15 billion annually, including processed meat and live cattle exports. Fact: Australian beef exports equals 75 million iPhones sold yearly, showing the industry's economic might. Beyond money, the beef industry creates over 200,000 jobs in farms, processing plants, and logistics. Efficiency and sustainability make Australia a top 3 global beef exporter with the US and Brazil. Australia, beef isn't just an industry, it's a cultural icon tied to life in the outback. Branches to tales of jackaroos, it paints a vivid picture of Australia's cattle culture. A typical cattle farm manages 20,000-30,000 head, with farmers working 10-12-hour days regardless of harsh weather. Farmers often face challenges like long droughts, dust storms, and summer temperatures reaching 45 degrees Celsius, 113 degrees Fahrenheit. Through innovation, farmers reuse groundwater and use drones to monitor cattle, saving labor and vital resources. These efforts have shaped a uniquely Australian resilient cattle farming culture. Horse breeding isn't just a cultural symbol, but a major economic contributor worldwide. The sight of powerful horse herds on vast pastures has left an indelible mark on human history. Remarkably, this traditional industry still generates billions in yearly revenue, reshaping nations' economies and cultures. The US boasts about 7.2 million horses and 442,000 horse farms, driving a thriving sector that significantly boosts the national GDP. China leads globally with over 11 million horses, with more than 20% bred for meat production. These stats show the industry's scale and highlight horse breeding's importance in our globalized world. Worldwide, horse numbers top 60 million, with the industry's annual revenue exceeding $300 billion. Top countries include the US, China, Brazil with 5.7 million horses, and Australia with over 400,000. Each nation uses horses uniquely, from business to tourism, creating a global value chain rich with potential. The Zhejiang Shenyuan horse industry adds $74 billion to the economy and creates about 1.3 million jobs. Direct contributions include economic activities within the horse industry like care and entertainment. These direct activities also boost related industries such as transport, feed production, and vet services. In fact, horses aren't just animals, but vital to many nations' economic and social ecosystems. The total economic impact of the horse industry in ITPI is $177 billion and 2.2 million jobs. Horse racing industry is a prime example. Often called the sport of kings, horse racing thrills and captivates millions worldwide. Iconic races like the Kentucky Derby aren't just cultural symbols, but generate over $15 billion in annual revenue. A racehorse costs about $300,000 on average, while prize horses can be valued at millions. Training racehorses requires meticulous investment in breed selection, diet, and specialized exercise regimens. Trainers approach horses gradually, starting with basics, focusing on desensitization and building trust. They also incorporate alternating training to boost endurance and slowly introduce speed exercises. The equestrian tourism industry is booming, especially in the western United States. With over 2 million annual visitors, horseback riding revenues reach about $300 million. In safari parks across Australia and Europe, horseback tours generate over $1 billion yearly, enhancing travel and connecting people with nature. The Royal Andalusian School of Equestrian Art is one of the world's most renowned traditional riding schools. With 117 Andalusian horses, staff, and students, the school preserves Spain's traditional equestrian style. The school's highlight is its impressive professional performances, which attract numerous tourists. Globally, farmers don't focus on raising horses for meat production like they do with broiler chickens. This is because horses take much longer to reach their ideal weight. Breeding horses for efficient feed conversion and economic growth involves many risks. Nevertheless, horse breeding continues to be maintained and developed. About 2.5 million acres are used for horse grazing. Every year in late April, farmers move 1,500 horses to better pastures. An adult horse needs daily food equal to 2% of its body weight. Besides grass, they eat a mix of corn and soybeans. At night, farmers lead horses to fenced areas for rest and protection. Horses breed in spring from February to May, when it's warm and food's plenty. This helps embryo and foal growth in the mare's womb. A newborn foal weighs about 50 pounds and can stand right after birth. This instinct shows their heritage as prairie roaming animals. During each farming cycle, farmers need to brand their horses. This helps them manage their herd and register with local breeding authorities. Horse breeding for meat has unique cultural and economic characteristics. Horse meat accounts for 0.4% of Spain's total livestock production. 15.3% of registered farms are for meat, mostly in northwest Spain. In the last decade, horse meat production rose 51%, mainly for European markets. Meat horses go to slaughter directly or spend time in feedlots first. According to the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, global horse meat production reaches about 330 million pounds. Argentina leads the pack, supplying roughly 70% of the world's horse meat. China breeds over 1.6 million horses yearly for meat, raking in about $2 billion in revenue. Horse meat, protein-rich and leaner than beef, is gaining popularity in Japan, France, and Italy. France consumes over 9 million pounds of horse meat annually, with dishes like steak and sausage becoming local staples. Beyond meat, horse products like milk and leather also hold significant economic value. Kazakhstan produces 110 million pounds of mare's milk annually, used in premium foods and cosmetics. Horse leather makes high-end bags, shoes, and furniture, especially in Europe, generating hundreds of millions in yearly revenue. More than just an industry, equestrianism plays a vital role in preserving and promoting cultural heritage. In Mongolia, the US, and Australia, horses symbolize national history and identity. Horse festivals aren't just entertainment, they bridge past and present, recalling when horses were essential to human life. In the US, over 1.4 million people work in horse-related fields, from breeding and transport to entertainment. This deep bond highlights horses' economic value and their cultural and social significance. A farm isn't just a place for raising cattle. It's a world of unique, often unbelievable tasks. From skinning crocks to branding, each job needs skilled, experienced farmers. For years, docking lamb's tails has been common on farms. Millions of Australian lambs undergo this procedure yearly. It's key for sheep health and farm efficiency. In large flocks, long tails can cause various issues. They collect waste, causing hygiene problems and infections. Long tails also make shearing more difficult. Tail docking starts with guiding lambs to a specific area. Traditionally, the tails removed with a special knife and the wounds treated quickly to prevent infection. In New South Wales, farmers use specialized tools for tail docking. The process is well coordinated. One person holds the lamb on the table while another performs the procedure. Everything's done swiftly to minimize the lamb's pain. However, most farms now use rubber rings for tail docking, seen as more humane and less painful. The rubber rings placed firmly at the tail's base, cutting off blood flow. After a short time, the tail falls off naturally with minimal pain. This method's widely used in major sheep-producing countries like Australia and New Zealand. Regardless of the method, lambs still risk infection from open wounds. Farmers must ensure lambs get vaccines to prevent diseases. In reality, cattle health care alone isn't sufficient. Farmers should also take steps to prevent cattle theft. Branding is used to mark cattle and identify their owner. Most cows have a unique symbol, helping owners manage their herd. Texas farmers brand cattle annually from December to April. The process involves tying cattle down by neck and legs. A hot branding iron is pressed on the animal's shoulder or hip. Branding requires precision and experience. The iron must be hot enough to mark, but not cause injury. Each hot iron is pressed on the skin for seconds, but the scar stays on the animal for life. It's basically a burn from heated metal, and during branding, cattle experience significant pain. Farms must ensure animals get health checks before and after branding to reduce infection risks and maintain welfare. The main goal of cattle branding is to prove ownership of lost or stolen animals. Farmers typically must register their brand with local authorities to avoid confusion or disputes. Harvesting deer antlers is crucial on specialized farms. This practice is common in New Zealand, Russia, China, South Korea, and parts of Vietnam. Young antlers are valuable for their nutrients, used in medicine and functional foods. Farmers harvest in spring when antlers are soft and full of blood vessels. This timing ensures the highest quality antlers. In New Zealand, one deer herd can yield 300 antler pairs per season, steady income for farmers. Farmers use anesthetic injections before cutting to minimize deer pain. Antiseptic solutions and hemostatic agents are prepared to treat the wound after cutting. An experienced farmer with proper equipment can process 10 to 30 antler pairs daily. The deer is safely restrained to prevent movement, which can be dangerous during the procedure. A small dose of local anesthetic is injected near the antler base to further reduce pain. The farmer uses a specialized saw to cut the antler 2.5 to 4.5 centimeters from its base. This is done quickly and precisely to minimize blood loss and animal discomfort. After cutting, the antlers are sprayed with an antibacterial solution to clean the wound. These solutions help prevent infections and promote healing. Once removed, the antlers are taken to a processing area. Farmers neatly arrange them on drying racks to ensure proper preservation during processing. The antlers are first washed with water to remove dirt and blood. Then, they're steamed or lightly boiled to retain their nutrients. After this, they're dried using methods that vary based on farm conditions and processing techniques. The dried antlers are then cut into smaller sections and sorted by quality and size. The antler base with the highest nutrient concentration is considered most valuable. Deer antlers play a key role in medicine and health supplements, benefiting farmers and consumers. Worldwide, millions of horses are bred on tens of thousands of farms. To keep them healthy and fit, farmers provide proper nutrition, exercise, and regular checkups. One key aspect of horse care is hoof trimming, which protects legs and overall well-being. A common hoof issue is abscess, often causing lameness and visible pain in horses. Farmers start hoof care by trimming the sole and hoof wall. This needs precision, as overcutting can worsen lameness or seriously injure the horse. Before trimming hooves, farmers heat an iron bar until it's glowing. They then bend and shape the hot steel to create a horseshoe. Once formed, the team hammers the hot steel to make it more flexible for a better fit. The farmer then gently lifts the iron bar and heats it again. Farrier cleans the horse's hoof, removing dirt and debris with special tools. This prevents discomfort and infection, keeping the hoof healthy. For injured hooves, they're bandaged to comfort the horse and prevent infection. Injured horses rest in a separate area away from other animals. Hooves are trimmed every 6 to 8 weeks to maintain ideal condition. Horses on hard surfaces often wear horseshoes to protect their hooves. Annually, over 1.5 million crocodile skins are exported from about 30 countries. Crocodile skin harvesting is crucial, determining leather's value based on quality and finish, directly impacting market price. Crocodile leather, highly prized in luxury fashion, is used for bags, shoes, wallets, and belts. Millions of crocodiles are farmed worldwide, generating significant economic value for the global fashion industry. Before skinning, the crocodile is placed on a table and a precise neck cut is made to ease the process. A metal pin is inserted into the spine to keep the body stable. Farmers spray water to remove blood, reducing bacterial risk and preserving leather quality. The process starts with a cut along the neck's midline through the nape shield. Next, a row of scales on both sides of the dorsal midline is removed, starting from the neck down to the base of the tail, leaving a wide band of 2-row scales along the center of the back. The farmer then cuts from the belly where the skin is prized in luxury fashion. The main cut is carefully made and separated from the muscle layer for clean removal. After tanning, the croc skin is cut to size for various luxury goods like bags or belts. The thinnest sections, usually belly skin, are chosen for high-end fashion items. Finally, the individual leather pieces are sewn to create the final product. This step demands exceptional craftsmanship, with every detail being impeccable.
Today we're checking out bison farms in the US to see how they raise thousands of these massive animals. Right now, about 359,000 bison are raised like cattle on farms across South Dakota, Nebraska, Colorado, and Oklahoma. The U.S. also has around 31,000 wild bison living in national parks. Yellowstone National Park is the most famous spot for these beasts, with about 5,300 wild bison roaming free. After 283 days of breeding, the female bison on this farm started giving birth. The birthing process for these bison cows usually only takes about an hour. Each year in the U.S., around 113,000 calves are born, with 2% dying during birth. Calves born here weigh about 55 pounds on average, 30% heavier than wild bison calves. On these farms, calves live with their mothers for 7 months before weaning. According to 2021 stats, the U.S. has 513 bison farms of various sizes. Across the country, South Dakota leads with 104 farms, accounting for 24% of all bison raised in the nation. Nebraska ranks second in bison farming, with 2,200 bison across its farms. Montana follows with 11,000, Colorado with 10,700 and Oklahoma with 10,300 bison. Daily herders guide the bison to pastures, where they can graze freely. Calves eat alongside their mothers, protected by fences surrounding the grazing area. Female bison are considered fully mature when they reach 2.5 to 3 years old. They will be considered mature and ready for breeding when they reach 4 to 5 years old. Currently, 85% of U.S. bison roam freely, while 15% are raised on small farms. This Oklahoma ranch is home to 167 adult bison and 53 calves. Oklahoma has 57 bison farms, mostly near the Missouri border. About 2,300 bison are slaughtered in Oklahoma each year. Bison graze freely and get supplements, like corn and pellets. Adult male bison weigh about 1,800 pounds, females around 960. Each bison here eats about 3% of its body weight daily. When pastures were being restored, workers fed the herd dry straw. This Colorado bison farm has 75 cows. The owner says bison eat 127,000 pounds of straw yearly, about 2,300 bales. During mating season, bulls fight for the right to females in the herd. Bison mating season starts in June, ending late September. A male bison can mate with multiple females. Female bison choose one male for life. This is a 55-head bison herd in Montana. At dusk, ranchers move them to pens to avoid wolf attacks. In 2021, Montana had 62 bison farms, calling 1,400 yearly. Farm bison get health checks and vaccines twice a year. Herders guide bison to a metal cage for health and weight checks. Imagine handling a bison without that cage. This is a Missouri cattle market in action. Hundreds of bison were brought here to be auctioned off before slaughter. These bison will be kept in separate pens, waiting their turn for auction. Each stable will house between 5 and 8 bison. Let's take a look inside the auction area. Currently, a 2-year-old bison costs between $3,500 and $7,000. It is based on appearance, origin, and purity level. About 20,300 bison are slaughtered yearly in the U.S., generating $384 million in revenue. Rabbits have always been popular in most countries worldwide. Large-scale farms can breed and harvest thousands of rabbits per litter. In today's video, we'll explore the process of breeding and harvesting rabbits. These cages are designed for optimal rabbit development and reproduction. Sperm will be collected for artificial insemination of qualified doves. These are added to nests in preparation for newborn bunnies. The rabbits will give birth 30 days after fertilization. For the first 3 weeks, baby rabbits' main food is their mother's milk. One to 2 months old baby rabbits are weaned and fed forage and other nutritious foods. At 70 days, males and females are separated, with the best rabbits chosen for meat production. Fattening rabbits are given a diverse, nutrient-rich diet. These are the final beautiful photos of these rabbits before their journey ends. Watch till the end to see lovely photos of another naturally raised rabbit group. At 4 months old, the rabbits are sent to food processing facilities. Some viewers may find these images uncomfortable. However, it's an unavoidable part of modern life. Factory workers slaughter and package the rabbits for stores and supermarkets. These rabbits are raised using a natural model. They can play and dig freely, unlike those in iron cages. Hello, my friends. Looking out, we see nothing but endless stretches of brown sand. But beyond these sandy winds, cattle herds roam under the scorching desert sun. These tents mark where intense vitality meets nature's harshness. Welcome to the Gobi, one of the world's most arid lands. It's a cold desert with grasslands, winter lows of 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and summer highs of 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's explore how farmers graze cattle in this harsh environment. Cattle grazing is crucial to desert farmers' daily life and main income. In the herds, camels usually make up about half. Sheep and goats account for roughly the other half. Horses are a small percentage, mostly in the lush southeast semi-desert. Cattle ranchers mainly focus on areas with water sources and steppes, as this ensures good grazing for their livestock and makes their daily lives more comfortable. Herds of horses, sheep, goats, and camels roam freely with few visible shepherds. In this desert during summer, all animals graze freely. However, they're still managed by the men of the family. Farmers use motorcycles to monitor their herds, ensuring they're safe. Unlike Arabian deserts, where cattle return nightly for food, Gobi herds stay out until summer's end. With big temperature swings, summer days last well past 9 p.m. Cattle can graze on wild pastures during the long daylight hours. They also withstand the harsh environment. Mongolia is one of Earth's last remaining pastoral nations. Their economy relies on livestock, and they spend most of their lives on grasslands. This view is unique. You won't find it anywhere else. Behind the sunlight, camel and shepherd silhouettes were etched in sand. It also portrays a nomadic culture, typical of the Gobi Desert. Global warming has made winters harsher, directly impacting shepherds' lives. Yet nomadic life endures here, with some old traditions being revived. He encountered the camels. The species symbolizes resilience in harsh environments. They're well adapted to the Gobi's extreme, hot and cold climate. This cattle breed greatly benefits pastoral herders. Besides economic benefits, large camels transport goods and furniture. During migrations, They're also great for crossing deserts and mountains. Camels provide food sources for shepherds as well. At dawn, farmers begin to leave their tents. They visit and prepare the camels for grazing. Grassy areas near the tents get priority. As grass diminishes, they move through the valley and over rolling hills. Farmers say camels don't breed well in small groups. Their population only grows when kept in large herds. While waiting for meals, farmers milk camels and chat. They discuss camels, livestock, and weather. In an hour, the farmer milked over 40 camels outside the barn. On average, they sell about 2 tons of fermented camel milk, generating decent revenue. Traveling through the vast Gobi wilderness, you'll encounter sudden sandstorms. One day might be warm and peaceful. The next could bring a fierce snowstorm. Even experienced Gobi shepherds sometimes get lost in severe dust storms and blizzards. When unsure of their tent's direction, they'd release their camel to roam freely. Amazingly, the camel walks calmly, never losing its way in any blizzard. Herders might find themselves home before they even realize it. Camels are undoubtedly very intelligent and intuitive animals. As snow melts, herders will let their livestock graze in the pastures. Camels will roam from steppes to vast semi-deserts in search of food. A day in the busy life of cattle ranchers often flies by. The farmer and his camels quietly returned, ready to end a tiring day. While camels thrive in dry deserts, goats also resist drought and find food in sparse pastures. Boat farmers not only graze and feed their animals daily, but also harvest their hair. The collected hair is used to make carpets, scarves, and handicrafts. The number of goats in each herd is large, but remains stable. The mix of camels and goats helps farmers reduce risks and optimize resources. Life for shepherds in the Gobi Desert is a challenging journey. They often move with their herds, setting up portable tents for shelter from cold winds. These shelters also protect them from earthquakes and sandstorms. You see farmers setting up tents, prepping for the journey. A group of people and cattle migrated. Worry in their hearts? Poor soil forces pastoralists to seek new grazing lands for their herds. Caring for livestock demands deep knowledge of their ways and health. It takes patience, but builds strong bonds with the animals. Farmers are shepherds and guardians of culture and tradition. Cattle farmers hope to make their tough lives a meaningful journey. After hardships, we still see mobile tents at the hill's base. Birds and herders endure the harsh Gobi Desert, unyielding. The sun peeks through the trees as ducks roam the fields. This scene is common in Asian duck farming countries. But how do field ducks like these end up on your plate? In today's video, we follow farmers to find the answer. We'll also learn how farmers raise millions of ducks. While developed nations use closed cage systems, most developing countries raise ducks traditionally. Ducks are harder to cage than chickens, being messier and needing water access. The ideal life for ducks is grazing in open fields. They need space to roam, explore, and access water areas. Ducks' bodies are adapted for water. Webbed feet, waterproof feathers, and insulating down. Ducks have advantages over other birds, especially disease resistance. They are hardy, great foragers and easy to raise, especially in wet areas where they gather in flocks. You can see the warehouse has food bags to meet the duck's huge appetite. Daily, he needs to take about 3 to 5 bags of food to the ducks. A downside of ducks on a balanced diet is food waste, due to their shovel-shaped beaks. This leads to less efficient food use, as they can't get all the food provided. This explains why duck meat and eggs cost more than chicken. For ducks can yield well, even when food quality isn't the best. So besides feeding, ducks forage in fields during harvest and return home later. After about 29 days, these eggs will hatch. The facility owner then selects healthy breeds for breeding. Here, day-old ducks arrive weekly, kept warm with heat lamps and fed for 14 days. They are also vaccinated against poultry diseases. After barn care, healthy ducklings adapt to new foods. They adjust to an environment with water and sunlight. Farmers then move ducklings to fields for natural grazing. In Southeast Asia, native ducks have been bred for meat or eggs for centuries. In Indonesia and Philippines, ducks are mainly raised for eggs, not meat. Duck meat is mainly consumed by Chinese, Hong Kong Japanese, and Korean communities, with most imported from Asia. About 40% of duck meat imports go to these 3 countries. Singapore, however, is the top importer of live ducks for processing, worth about $30 million annually. Fertilizers are another key byproduct with high economic value, whether sold by farmers or used directly on crops. Feathers can also be sold. In mixed farming systems, other products, like eggshells, can be used as feed for other livestock. Duck farming is a crucial sector in the poultry industry of Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam. This involves permanent duck rearing, allowing them to graze around villages and be sheltered near homes at night. Meanwhile, in this mobile farming system, ducks are moved to areas where rice was just harvested. They can stay there for a day or two foraging for food in rice-growing countries. There's a synergy between duck and rice production. Grazing ducks act as natural predators, eating insects and snails. Ducks, as predators and fertilizer producers, help increase crop yields. Integrating ducks in rice farming helps farmers adapt to climate change and reduce pesticide use. Most farmers choose this method to sell their rice at a premium price. Farmers often combine duck and fish farming for sustainable small-scale agriculture. Some farmers warn that ducklings can damage young rice plants. When crops start to fruit, it's time to shoo away the ducks to prevent damage. While no duck lays daily, most lay throughout winter without extra light. You can expect about 250 to 325 eggs per day. From a flock, care for these ducks. Farmers closely monitor them during breeding to prevent egg loss. They can lay eggs anywhere, anytime, so there's no set schedule. Farmers can only watch, study, and try to collect all the eggs. After collection, eggs are sold to traders and local producers. Dogs accompany farmers throughout the herding process. They stay close to the ducks to protect them, regardless of terrain. Before loading ducks, farmers recount to ensure none are left behind. Organic rice farming requires lots of work for weeding and soil health. A duckling's movement naturally aerates and strengthens the soil. This process reduces manual labor, allowing farmers to diversify and potentially earn more in premium food markets. In Thailand, some farmers switch to Barbary ducks, introduced by royalty for their unique meat quality. Year-round availability of Barbary duck products is key to attracting customers. Barbary ducks can weigh up to 8 pounds, taking 65-85 days to grow, while other breeds need about 45 days. This results in fewer production cycles. However, Barbary duck fetches a higher price at $3.21 per kilogram. A duck farmer's day in northern Mexico typically starts very early. The first task is checking duck health, inspecting feeders and covering them with straw. It also adjusts the temperature to keep ducks comfortable when it gets hotter outside. At day's end, cleaning ensures farm hygiene is maintained at a standard level. At 6 or 7 weeks old, meat ducks are ready for the slaughterhouse. Their ducks are cleaned, preserved, and sold as packaged products. They are sold domestically through retailers and restaurants. About 68% of duck farmers raise only 1 flock per year. 18% raise 2 flocks yearly, depending on breed and farming purpose. The number of workers varies from 1 to 7, based on flock size. Farmers often live in tents, cooking and storing extra duck food there. Besides being tough work, duck farming poses many health risks. Exposure to ammonia and dust can cause bronchitis, asthma, and eye issues.
Ever wondered how much protein you eat daily? Meat dishes come from pork, beef, or lamb, but there's a whole production process behind them you might not have considered. Today, we'll explore the fascinating secrets of how European farmers raise and process millions of animals. Europe produces about 80% of the world's foie gras. In 2023, the region distributed over 29,000 kilos of foie gras. Foie gras is deeply rooted in French cuisine, and France is Europe's top producer. There are about 380,000 geese farms in France, mainly in rural areas like the southwest regions of Périgord and Gascony. The goose feeding process is quite rigorous, which is why foie gras production is banned in many countries. Farmers insert a 12-inch metal tube into the geese's throats and pump large amounts of food into their stomachs. About 3 weeks before harvest, farmers fatten the geese with grains like barley and corn. Around 20 to 24 weeks, geese reach ideal weight and fat content, and farmers begin the harvest. At the factory, after slaughter, skilled workers carefully remove the liver. Liver extraction must be quick and gentle to avoid pressure that could break the liver. Workers select uniform-sized foie gras, weighing between 14 and 21 ounces. They ensure the liver is light pink or yellow without any bruising. They then gently press the liver to check softness and elasticity, ensuring it's not too firm or soft. High-quality livers are reserved for the premium market. After removing the foie gras, the remaining goose meat is processed in French factories under strict procedures. Goose meat is sorted into parts like breast, thighs, wings, and body, each carefully inspected for freshness and quality. These parts are then distributed based on customer needs, primarily to the retail market. Europe is a top global pork producer, processing millions of pigs daily in its factories. A European Commission report states that in 2023, Europe produces about 50.7 million pounds of pork yearly, over 20% of global output. Germany leads production with roughly 11.9 billion pounds of pork annually. In Europe, the pig raising process typically lasts 6 to 8 months. During this time, pigs are carefully raised to reach 250, 300 pounds, the ideal market weight. When brought to slaughter, pigs are usually stunned with an electric shock to reduce pain and stress. They're then hung upside down on an automated conveyor, facilitating the next steps. Workers then use knives to cut the throat. The pig's throat is cut, ensuring all blood drains from the body. This yields top-quality pork while minimizing bacterial contamination risk. A flamethrower then burns off hair and impurities, cleaning the skin before further processing. Internal organs are swiftly removed and processed to prevent bacterial growth. Workers then use an automatic saw to split the pig's body lengthwise. This precise process ensures each pig half is evenly divided. The meat is then quickly chilled in a refrigerator to maintain freshness. Freezing firms up the meat, making cutting and grading easier and more precise. Laser sterilization tech eliminates bacteria on meat surfaces, extending shelf life. Though Zaforzila produces a lot, they focus more on domestic consumption. The European pork market is valued higher in global exports, holding 35% of the market share. In 2023, Spain led Europe's pork exports, valued at $6.8 billion. Whether it's a NY steak or Tokyo burger, it's likely made with European beef. Committed to quality and sustainability, European beef is in high demand globally. Farmers closely watch herds to spot cows with potential for high market prices. The ideal age to sell beef cattle is usually between 12 and 24 months. Selected cows must be free from diseases, injuries, or defects. Farmers often guide cows from behind along tracks to the truck. This process is done carefully to minimize stress or injury to cows. Meat processing ensures quality and follows strict safety standards. Europe produces about 16.54 billion pounds of beef annually. %60 is consumed locally, the rest is exported internationally. France leads, producing about 3.31 billion pounds of beef yearly. France exports beef to EU countries, Japan, and the United States. Over 70 million sheep and goats in the EU are often raised in economically vulnerable areas like mountainous regions. Greece, Spain, and France are the main goat producers. In France's Hautes-Pyrénées, farmers raise goats on natural pastures at the foot of the Pyrenees Mountains. Goats eating young grass and herbs produce milk with 30% more omega-3 than confined goats. However, factory-fed goats can produce 40 to 50% more milk than free-range goats. Europe produces 15.1% of the world's goat milk. The goat dairy market, valued at $13.001 billion in 2023, is expected to reach $20.75 billion by 2029. Goat meat is a high-quality food loved by many, especially in Asian countries. For the best goat meat, farmers pick goats weighing 77 pounds with high protein and good health. Processing goat meat starts with hair removal and taking out the internal organs. The goat is cleaned and chilled to prevent dehydration during slaughter. Modern machines process the meat, dividing the goat into loin, thigh, and neck. These parts are then cut and packaged for export to various markets. The popularity of goat cheese has boosted the global goat milk market. Goat cheese has fewer calories and less fat than cow's cheese, appealing to health-conscious folks. Every September and October, Scottish farmers begin the sheep harvest, a crucial time for the region's sheep industry. Farmers gather sheep from pastures to collection areas for health checks. Approved sheep are transported in specialized trucks with non-slip floors and modern ventilation. Farmers select healthy sheep aged 6, 12 months, weighing 80, 110 pounds for top quality meat. At processing, sheep are electrically stunned to minimize pain and stress. Workers use sharp knives to cut throats, then hang sheep upside down to drain blood fully. Sheep are skinned and sheared to maintain hygiene in processing. The meat is then frozen to keep it at the ideal temperature. Lamb is processed and packaged in whole cuts for the food market. Besides meat, sheep's wool plays a key role in Europe's textile industry. Annually, Europe's ag industry harvests about 2.2 trillion pounds of wool, mainly from the UK, New Zealand, and Australia. Delano Farm can shear 64,000 sheep in 10 weeks, producing 1,500 wool bales, boosting the wool industry. Australia produces 760 million pounds of raw wool yearly, generating over $3 billion annually. Besides domestic use, sheep in Europe are vital for the export market. Ireland, UK, and Spain are key sheep farming hubs, supplying international markets. Each year, European farmers export about 4 million live sheep, along with thousands of tons of processed lamb meat, meeting demand in the Middle East, North Africa, and Asia. Across Africa's vast savannas, a magical journey unfolded over centuries. Goats grazed rhythmically on hills, munching grass and trees, defying the harsh landscape. This is the result of local farmers' efforts. So how do African farmers raise millions of goats annually? In today's video, we'll uncover the answer. Africa is a vast continent with tropical and subtropical climates, expansive grasslands, and lush vegetation. This creates ideal conditions for omnivores like goats to thrive. Statistics show Africa has about 300 million goats, 40% of the world's goat population. Several countries boast tens of millions, like Ethiopia, 110 mm, Nigeria, 95 m, and Kenya, 41 m. Goats play a crucial role in improving livelihoods and food security in Africa. They thrive in harsh environments, reproduce quickly, and are more fertile than cattle. They also provide meat and milk for people. Thus, goats are seen as one of the most accessible income sources for farmers in poor African villages. South Africa's goat population exceeds 35 million, mostly raised in traditional small-scale production systems like this. These systems are characterized by low-skilled labor, small goat numbers, and limited resources. Compared to modern large-scale farms, these operations have relatively low productivity and yield. However, for those struggling financially, goat farming is ideal. It's easy to start and requires little upfront investment. You see, farming costs are low, so African farmers focus on goat grazing, letting them roam freely in vast savannas. This grazing system reduces pressure on natural resources and creates optimal conditions for goat herd development. Like some cattle farms worldwide, farmers here often herd goats with sheep to maximize vegetation use. You can see goats roaming lush pastures or winding through arid deserts like this. We see absolutely no sign of the herder. Farmers guide goats to suitable grazing areas, leaving the rest of foraging to the animals. In most African farms, goat management involves daytime grazing and nighttime confinement. For financially struggling breeders, most allow their goats to develop naturally. Outdoor enclosures were built with thorny bushes or wooden posts to deter thieves and predators. Clearly, uncontrolled breeding means no supplementary feed or veterinary care. In southern African countries like Mozambique, Zambia, and South Africa, they limit farm facility investments, as pens are mainly used to prevent crop damage, while allowing farmers to focus on other agricultural tasks. The largest proportion of livestock costs is attributed to breeding stock. High heat, drought, food scarcity, lack of clean water, and diseases. These natural African factors don't hinder these goat herds' survival. They maintain production and breeding performance in harsh environments. This is partly due to their small size, allowing efficient use of low-quality forage. In recent years, climate change has worsened droughts, hitting rural areas hard, especially in sub-Saharan Africa. Yet, native goat herds have adapted, developing heat tolerance in these harsh environments. As local pastures dried up, this goat herd had to roam further to find food. Under the scorching sun, the goats pressed on, crossing arid land with dry bushes and steep canyons, seeking new grazing grounds. Farmers here say that in the last 8 years, their main challenges in goat farming have been high kid mortality and slow growth rates in survivors. High disease rates, parasites, and poor nutrition also hinder goat growth, reducing production and breeding success. This scene isn't much different from wild goats roaming freely. These goats mostly fend for themselves, occasionally getting family scraps, but usually foraging on their own. For weak kids unable to graze, farmers bring twigs or grass to the barn like this. This also happens during bad weather when grazing isn't possible. Most African farmers can't afford to supplement with synthetic feed pellets. So, from a young age, kids are exposed to leaves and grasses like these. This seems to be their main diet throughout the entire life of African goats. When grazing conditions are good, goats move from place to place, seeking shrubs with fresh leaves. Tending to goats as they roam villages is a full-time job for Ethiopian farmers. A farmer in South Africa's arid KwaZulu-Natal mountains opens the gate to release his goats. Their grazing journey begins. Unlike being in a barn, you can see they thrive while grazing, blending with hills and grasslands. We see that animals, goats included, instinctively prefer their natural habitat. No matter how well you care for them, goats still favor these grazing trips. Farmers start milking from 5:30 a.m. to 6 a.m. They then let cattle graze and return them to barns at 4 p.m. At this time, they'll check the herd's number and condition after a day of grazing. South Africa is one of the few countries that successfully developed Boer, Kalahari Red, and Savannah goat breeds, now widely used worldwide. Boer goats are farmers' favorites, offering advantages like excellent meat and milk, disease resistance, and better mothering skills than other goat breeds. However, farmers still need to carefully manage and care for the kids during their first few weeks of life. If you don't properly care for them during this critical period, you could easily lose up to half of these young goats. This is a farm located in the subtropical low-veld region. Farmers here have utilized the cleared land with lush pastures to raise goats. As you can see, the goat herd is thriving. It's a stark contrast to the arid farms in western South Africa. Despite challenges, we must acknowledge that goat farming brings economic benefits to African communities. Statistics show an adult goat can sell for between $50 and $100. With 10 to 20 goats, farmers can earn profits of $550 to $1,100 annually. Goat farming has helped many African farmers escape poverty and prosper. Many families built large barns and bought equipment, all thanks to income from goats. For extra cash, farmers often bring young goats to market to sell. But experienced goat farmers won't buy goats from the general market. After raising them, farmers found the quality wasn't guaranteed. Some have common livestock diseases, while others become infertile as adults. Or when giving birth, the goat won't nurse and even competes with kids for food. Instead, to be sure, farmers visit reputable goat farms to choose breeds. Large-scale farmers need to verify the origin and quality of goats they buy. They also remember to ask about vaccinations and deworming. Barns and pastures are also carefully chosen and invested in. On this farm, each goat gets one, 2 pounds of organic feed daily. They're also given roughage like hay as a supplement. The farm owner ensures goat health through regular vaccinations. This man's herding vaccinated goats to a separate barn. Besides barns and scientific care, they raise goats traditionally. Green grass remains crucial for their growth and development. Gradually, goats appeared on every branch of the tree. You won't find scenes like this anywhere else. These are mischievous goats in Morocco. They make grazing a desert spectacle. The journey of African savanna goats isn't just about survival. It's a tale of harmony with nature and the magic of adaptation. Even in the harshest conditions, desert goats still seek out life. They're also the result of farmers' tireless efforts. Despite challenges in this unpredictable land, they raise millions of goats annually. Hello friends. Today we'll visit US goat farms to see how millions of goats are raised. As of September 2022, the US had about 2.65 million goats, mainly in Tennessee, Texas, California, and Georgia. This is a goat farm in Georgia. After roughly 145 days of pregnancy, hundreds of goats here started giving birth. According to U.S. Department of Agriculture stats, about 778,000 goats are born yearly, with up to 47% in Texas. There are many flies on this goat farm, but it's not a major health concern for the goats. At 1 week old, these goats weigh about 13 pounds. They're now moved to a separate area to drink as much milk as possible. At 1 month old, the goats can go out to play and move freely. Goats are considered fully mature when they reach 18 months of age. At this point, the average weight of goats is between 110 and 115 pounds. This is a grazing goat farm in Texas. In the morning, shepherds release the goats into pastures to feed freely. Currently, there are about 1,100 goats in Texas.
Million goats, representing 41% of the national goat population. Most Texas goats are raised for meat, with 83% of U.S. goat meat coming from the state. In the evening, dogs herd goats to a safe area to protect them from coyote attacks at night. It's estimated that about 1,100 goats in Texas fall victim to coyote attacks each year. On many South Texas goat farms, farmers regularly rotate their goats between different pastures. This practice helps preserve pastures and reduces parasite infestations in the goats. Now let's take a look at a dairy goat farm in California. Here, the goats enjoy a richer diet with more grains and protein. California currently has about 97,000 goats, with 45% raised for milk production. Have you ever tried goat's milk? Tell us what you thought about its taste. This is how goats are milked at a California dairy. This modern setup can milk 90 goats at once. Each goat here produces 12 pounds of milk daily. The US has about 371,000 dairy goats as of 2022. Dairy goat farms are mainly in CA, Wisconsin, and IA. After milking, equipment's cleaned and milk sent to make cheese. This is a goat cheese factory in Wisconsin. Have you tried goat cheese before? Tell us what you think of this cheese. South Sudan, Spain, France lead in goat cheese production. Here's a look at a traditional goat cheese facility. What's your take on the goat cheese process shown? Share your thoughts in the comments below.